This is Rhys's 1978 Mazda 1000 Ute. Previously, it had a Mazda 1.3 litre and a 5-speed in it, but he's brought it to Dad and he's fitted a new drivetrain in it, and he's going to tell us all about it. This engine bay's looking pretty busy, Dad. What have you shoehorned in here?
So this is a Toyota 4AG. It's actually a 4AGZE. So originally it was a supercharged engine from factory. So this is probably the strongest of the 4AGs as far as internals go, because it was a supercharged engine. It's no longer got the supercharger on it because they're not very big and don't really provide that much power. It has got a GT 2560 turbo on it now. So the engine's had a basic rebuild that I've done on it just to freshen it up, and it's also got some Tomo cams in it, which are unknown size. They're just drop-in cams, which whatever that means. Step 3, who knows? Matt's made a new inlet manifold for it because originally they have a weird-looking inlet manifold that looks like a carbureted thing. So he has made a aluminium sort of plenum type manifold on it, and there's a whole bunch of other custom stuff on it. It's actually a pretty big job to fit this into the car. It was actually bolted in there when it came here on some engine mounts, but it had a 5-speed gearbox on the back of it, and that was about it. So we have actually changed from the 5-speed manual to a Trimatic Auto because he wants to use it for drag racing, and these cars we're never going to turn a corner because it's not really built for that. So we've got a Trimatic behind it, and we've got a Nissan R31 diff at the back. So a Borg Warner with I think it's got a True Track centre in it.
Yeah, sweet. Now tell us about what you've done with the intercooler.
So yeah, there was a lot of challenges with the front end of this car. This car's actually got a full chassis, so it's kind of like a Holden 1-tonner but miniature, which makes it very difficult to fit things in. The radiator is a Mazda R100 radiator that I got for it, which still didn't fit. Had to do a fair bit of cutting out in the front, but eventually I got it in there. The intercooler itself is actually an FG XR6 Turbo upgrade intercooler, which you would never think would fit in the front of this car, but after a few goes of getting a couple of different intercoolers that I thought would fit, I ended up I had a standard FG intercooler and went, oh, that actually looks like it would work. So then I ordered the upgraded one, which is actually bigger, and it sort of fitted in there pretty well. There's a lot of changes to the way the front bumper bar mounts and stuff like that just to get that to fit, but it all worked out in the end. So we got a pretty simple intercooler piping, and everything's sort of got good airflow, so we'll call that a win.
Awesome. How about we go underneath and check out the transmission and diff setup?
All right. This car originally had 4-wheel drum brakes, which is pretty standard for a small car of this era. So all the brakes have been replaced with 4-wheel discs. We got the Skyline PBR brakes on the back, which is pretty standard for that era. And on the front, we've got a Hopper Stoppers kit, which has got AU Falcon twin piston calipers. They're probably way overkill for this car because they're massive, and it's the same sort of brakes that we put on cars that are 3 times the size of this. But yeah, shouldn't have any trouble stopping. You probably see the exhaust, just 3-inch exhaust as per standard for a turbo that size. Single muffler at the back.
What's this device? It looks like it's for chopping up roadkill.
That's a pinion speed sensor. I bought a kit that sort of bolts onto the back of the diff flange, but I did end up modifying it with a different sort of pickup points, which are those bolts. That's basically your speedo. That feeds into the ECU and gives you a speed signal for the car.
There you go. What else is there? What's this box?
That's the fuel tank. I've run the standard fuel tank, but I've put a sump in the fuel tank, which is a sort of a very budget way of reducing fuel surge. So you got this lower section that's always full of fuel, and there's a bunch of, it's basically like a baffle setup, so the fuel can get into that lower section, but it's hard for it to get out. And that runs directly to an 044 Bosch pump through filters and up to the rail. So it's pretty simple. This car, it's pretty simple as, in theory. It just happens to be quite a difficult thing to put together because of the way the car's laid out and for various other reasons. It's tested my endurance, let's say, a little bit, but we're nearly there. I've got the car running today, so it's basically a couple of little things and it's ready to go for a tune. So we might be able to get some footage of that maybe, I don't know. We'll see how we go.
Let's do it.
Hey everybody, this is Beau and I's first go at making an interview style video. As you guys might know, our dad, Turboyoda, who's previously featured on other YouTube channels, has decided to step out of the media spotlight. I thought I'd take a minute to explain what Beau and I plan to do with this channel and Dad's Instagram, and then I'll grace your ears with some Turbo 4 AGE. Dad's always been modifying cars, all throughout my childhood and long before, and I love questioning him about every little Japanese front cut he's extracted an engine out of and thrown in an early gen Liberty. By the time I was 14, Dad had put me in my first car, a Gen 4 H6 Subaru Liberty wagon, which ignited my passion for cars and the modified car culture, and it was only up from there. To not only have access to a mechanical wizard of a dad, but also a performance car workshop right at my doorstep has been such a blessing and grown my fascination even deeper, which is why I've decided to document the experience. I've been working on short form content over on Dad's Instagram, Turboyoda Allied, and plan on reviewing his shed work, like this little rig, whenever I'm home between uni. Thank you for listening. Now for some 4AG